So this is our 2015 Hill of Grace. It's the 58th vintage of our Hill of Grace, single vineyard Hill of Grace. The interesting thing is the first vintage was in 1958 that my father Cyril made, following the success of Mount Eccleston. This particular vintage is a vintage that was harvested on the full moon of Easter, a week before Easter, between the 16th and the 26th of March, and it's a vintage graced by the luminous moon, as we described it. It's the Hill of Grace Vineyard is a series of single vineyard blocks. The oldest block was planted in around about 1860 by my great-great-grandfather. On my grandmother's side, his name was Nicholas Stanitsky. Those old grandfather vines, as we call them, are still alive and still bearing fruit.
Doing well.
Doing well. Prue looks after the vineyard, and maybe you just want to quickly describe your management.
Yes, because they're dry grown, we decided to use straw mulch underneath the vine. To help that, we've actually added compost under the straw, and it's meant that we can keep those vines going right through to the vintage period. So it gives us a beautiful balance and complexity in the wine. They don't go through extremes of temperature. Also, because of that coverage, we don't have to worry about herbicides, so that led to the whole vineyard being managed organically. The compost part of the story means that we went into biodynamics to produce compost. It's a wonderful way of taking perhaps part of our waste stream of stalks and skins from vintage, and then layering it with cow manure, and it produces a really beautiful textured compost that we place on the vine. The vineyard is uncultivated, so we have a permanent sward, so it's a lovely cool grassed area. We have reintroduced native grasses, and also because they are in excellent balance with the vine, they actually go into dormancy just as the vine's coming into its major growth period and flowering. Also, around the edge of the vineyard, we've planted a series of native flowering plants, in particular a plant called Berseria spinosa. And this flowers right through the flowering of the vine, and has, because of its profusion of flower heads on the bush, it attracts a lot of wasps, flies, hoverflies, beetles, an enormous amount of insect life, and that actually predates on the light brown apple moth and the vine moth that are in the vineyard. So we've got this wonderful balance between beneficial insects having a habitat in the native plants we plant around the edge, and the vineyard itself. So it's a new thought, and it's working well.
And each of these individual blocks within the vineyard, the grandfather's a church block, the house block, Wimble block, post office blocks 1 and 2, are old components, if you like, old vine components that we pick individually in vintages like 2015 when we have enough fruit, and we ferment them separately, so they're a whole bunch hand-picked, they're destemmed and then fermented in submerged cap fermentation, the traditional fermentation method, to bring out the elegance of the fruit in our Shiraz. So Eden Valley Shiraz specifically, this is at 400 metres altitude in the Hill of Grace Vineyard. It's in a, if you like, a shallow valley, so despite the name, think that people would think it's a hill. It's actually, the name comes from the church. The church is called Gnadenberg. It's a lovely old German word that means or translates as Hill of Grace. And so it's in a little shallow valley facing more or less west. It's a reasonably warm site, so you get beautiful opulence with the Shiraz, but gorgeous elegance as well. It has a lot of spice in the wine, and mostly on the deeper silt in the vineyard we seem to see more what we describe as almost like fire spice characters, real aromatics, spicy aromatics in the fruit.
So anise and a little bit of cardamom.
And on the edges of the vineyard you tend to get more of the black pepper and sagey characters. So each of those blocks contributes something really special to this wine. They're quite low yields because the vines are quite old, they're dry grown, and once the fermentation has completed, on skins the wine is pressed off, usually over between 7 to 10 days, put off to barrel, completes its fermentation in barrel, then undergoes malolactic fermentation, and then stays in barrel for 2 years. Majority French oak, some younger, newer oak, but mostly seasoned oak, and just a little tad of American oak. But a beautiful vintage showing fairy tale vintage, gorgeous flavours.